Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. Apologies for the couple-minute delay. I was all ready to go live, had kind of all my stuff laid out, and then where the hell's my laptop? Oh yeah, it's downstairs. I was doing a bunch of real estate stuff with it last night, so I apologize. I was in the warm house versus the not quite as warm shop, and I was doing real estate stuff, finding the new house. So I forgot the laptop wasn't up here. Now I know where it's at. So I had to run back downstairs, grab the laptop, get everything done up here. So give me a second. I got to close the door here. It is officially very cold here. It was just trying to snow, and it's not trying to snow right now. So that's a good thing. So let me get you guys set up a little better shot with the car. Something like that. Something like that. A little better. Apologies if my hair's all messed up. It's raining outside and not very nice. We got some mail today. This, of course, is for a different car. So we'll get this one out of the way quick. This, I believe, is the hood ornament, if I could talk, for the limo. By the way, cut towards your chum, not towards your thumb. Yeah. This is a cute little hood ornament. This is from Jose Reyes in Dallas, Texas. And he was selling some Cadillac parts online. And he had a very, very nice looking Cadillac hood ornament. And so I picked it up kind of cheap. And it still has a little spring on it. So you can like mount it and it'll flex a little bit, not a lot of it. It's nicely bubble wrapped, and the pictures, it looked to be in pretty good shape. You know, we're talking about a car that's 44 years old. So whatever parts you can get for it, consider yourself lucky. Maybe I do need that knife. Damn, you wrapped this really well. Okay. Here's another pro tip. When you're wrapping stuff in bubble wrap, use brown tape so that people can tell the difference. Idiots like me can tell the difference. It's just a little helpful when you're shipping stuff. Oh yeah, okay. Needs a little spritzer, but all the paint seems to be there. So this is the original Cadillac wreath ornament. You guys can see that, and he's in pretty good shape. And this part all goes below the hood, and this is the little spring we're talking about, so that, you know, he flexes like this. And the rest of this goes underneath. He has a little nut, and there's a little rubber grommet right there, and it goes underneath the hood. So we'll put that on the Cadillac for now. It beats the, I don't even know where it went. I'll show you if I can find it. It was up here. We had it out for a while because it was very funny. It still is very funny. I don't know if we still have the hood ornament that came on the limo. Oh yeah, there he is. So this is the hood ornament that came on the limo, this gigantic horse thing. And I'm surprised he's not anatomically correct. But yeah, this was what was on the limo. And this is what we're going to put back on. This is what it originally had. So there's a little size difference for you. Maybe we could put this like the horses jumping over the Cadillac symbol. That would be kind of funny. But Yeah, this is what originally came. If you're interested in this, it is absolutely for sale. God, it's so obnoxious. So obnoxious. So that's cool. We've got Cadillac parts, and I also hit the convenience store on my way back, and I got a couple of these because I saw them in the candy bar aisle. So this is Cumberland Farmhouse Extreme Dark Chocolate. You guys know I love dark chocolate. I love chocolate, but I really love dark chocolate. And it contains bioengineered ingredients. A lot of these places do proper sourcing for the cacao beans and stuff, and they have a I forgot what it's called, a fair trade thing, which is really nice. And I can promise you, Mars, who makes Twix, I believe it's Mars. Yeah, Mars Wrigley Confectionery, Hackettstown, New Jersey. I can guarantee you, Mars does not have any fair trade stuff. This one sounded really good. Twix with salted caramel. I don't know why that sounded good, but I figured I would give it a try. And Rockstar, because we're on a health kick. We like healthy foods. Believe it or not, it's only my second one today. I know that's weird. Last night I did some grinding / sanding and painting. I got rid of the 77 and this is the way on the roof of the MR6. It's white. It's going to get in alignment tomorrow. Chuck at Evans Auto, who does all my race car alignments, is going to do the final alignment on this car. And I'm pretty excited about that. Chuck does great work, and we know how this thing works now, so it won't be an all-day adventure. And what else do we got? Is anybody in the chat yet? Nope, not yet. So I've gotten a bunch of questions about the MR6 lately, and so I figured I would answer some of those for you guys regarding this car and what we do with it and how it got built and everything else. So if you guys have questions that you haven't sent me prior, go ahead and send them. You can send them in the message. You can send me a text, whatever you want to do, and I'll answer those questions for you. This car is built from 3 different Toyota MR2s. At one, I'm kind of embarrassed to say this, at one time, I did own 3 MR2s. There are pictures of that very short period of time. And I don't want to say they're embarrassing, but I don't post a lot of them. So the main car is an 87 Toyota MR2, and that's this white. The main chassis, most of the body parts are from an 87. Now, it originally had the 4.8 GE 4-cylinder engine, normally aspirated, but the white car came as an automatic, so we had to make it a manual. And we did that. That wasn't as complex as it sounds. And that was nice. That worked out pretty well. Let's see who's here. Hey, Diane. Diane's always here. And that's nice. I need a super tech person to make sure all the stuff is working correctly. So, started off as an 87. I'm going to try this Twix salted caramel. We'll see how this goes. I'm really excited for this. We then grafted the roll cage and the roof from the 1986 car, which was our very first original car, onto this car because this car had a damaged roof, a damaged windshield, and damaged front bumper. So he transferred a lot of parts from the 86 onto this. So this roof is originally red, and you can kind of tell where it got grafted in. There's part of the weld here. We got it within 1 millimeter of OEM spec, which is pretty impressive because I've never done a chop top. I've never done a roof swap. That was pretty good. And Brian Hammond got it. He measured it out about 80 times and he got it right. It done really well. I got some overspray on the windshield. Got to take care of that stuff. The third one is the Pokemon car. And this one we got at a Gingerman race a few years ago after those guys had bailed on their race car. And we bought it for $500, bought it really cheap, and it had a bunch of really killer parts on it. So we transferred a lot of those parts over to this car. The big brake kit up front. There was a bunch of stuff, and then we used a bunch of the stuff for the Camry that eventually this engine was out of. Well, not this engine, that engine. This is out with Solara. But it was good. Oh, wow, the cookie part is salted, not the caramel, I think. No, the caramel's salted. Okay. Just took a little while to get to the salt part. So this car is essentially 3 cars put together. The other thing that this car is, and some people have asked me about it, this is the only car I've seen YouTube or anywhere else in person, anywhere. We're the only team to turn an OBD1 car into an OBD2 car. Now, the reason for that is most people go with a standalone computer like a Haltech or crap, who's the other one? It's another plug-and-play system. They have them for the Miatas. Anyway, people do plug-and-play systems versus trying to make it current, bring it to OBD2 specs. But we did OBD2 on this because we have an engine out of a 2000 Solara, 2001 Solara. So Devin did all that wiring and tackled that project and did a great job on it. We now have an OBD2 plug. We can monitor everything, engine temp, fuel temp, or coolant temp, speed, RPMs, everything we can measure from that OBD2 port, which is very, very handy. And it's something I haven't seen anyone else do. So if you guys see anyone that does stuff like that, let me know. I haven't seen anybody do an OBD2 swap. No, the cookie is salted, not the caramel. Yeah, okay. Just making sure. My taste buds are not that smart. They're trying to figure everything out. And the engine in this, like I said, we started off with the 4.8 GE. We went through a couple of those. We blew up 2 of them. One of them, we blew up literally, 8 hours before the race started, 10 hours before the race started. Another one we blew up. We couldn't get the first one going. We got the second one going. Then we blew that up, and then we blew the other one up in South Carolina. And then Michael money shifted that engine at Pittsburgh 2 years ago. We went and got a Solara engine, which is the same thing. It's a 1MZ. And Nate Millison helped me build this engine. And this engine is extremely strong and very, very happy. We're probably 245, 240 horsepower. And the car weighs in at 2,400 pounds right now with a full tank of gas and a driver. So we're in really good shape. It's quite well corner balanced right now. Alignment will help tomorrow, and we'll finish off corner balancing after the alignment. But I think we're really damn close. The car handles great. It does great in the wet. Does great in the dry, and it is a ton of fun. And that's the minimum. That's my theory on the minimum for a fun sports car, and that's a 10-to-1 ratio. So 10 pounds for every horsepower. So if you have a 2,400-pound car, you need to have at least 240 horsepower. There are exceptions to that rule, like the Miata, some other cars that handle really, really, really well. So Porsche's doesn't really, you can kind of skip that rule with some cars. But that's kind of the basic rule, and that's what we were going for with this car. We wanted 2,200 pounds, 2,400 pounds, 220 horsepower, 240 horsepower. And we got it. There was no way we were getting that with the original engine, unless we went with a Formula Atlantic engine. Those are the same blocks, same heads, but they're extremely powerful. The other problem is they are very, very expensive. They're about 20 grand. And we don't have a $20,000 budget for this car, just for the engine alone. Like, I got this engine, I think, for $300, and I put probably $1,000 into it in the rebuild and cleanup and painting and everything. So running a Formula Atlantic engine would have been awesome, because you can also rev to like 12,000 RPMs. It's great. But this thing is a total workhorse. It loves it. We have a manual transmission that we got out of the original Camry that engine came out of, and the 5-speed works great. This car would really benefit from a 6-speed. If we had a sixth gear, this car would be really, really great. But it's fine as is. There's no major problems. The reason I say 6-speed is because we can only rev to 6,500. I think it's 6,700 RPMs is our rev line. So we can't rev out that high in third and fourth gear. And then you get into fifth and kind of max it out a little bit. And so I think if we had a 6th gear, we could get higher top speeds. We would have more range in the 3, 4, 5 than we do now. And I would like that. That'd be really nice. But again, this is all done on a super shoestring budget. This is not $1 million Barrett Jackson build. This is not a $500,000 Mecum build. This is, according to London's rules, this is a $151 car. And according to the receipts in the red book, there's about $20,000 into this car. And that does not include 1 minute of labor. So the labor that went into this car from all the people that have pitched into this car, and there have been dozens. I can't tell you how many people have pitched into this car. 50, 60. A lot of people have put time and effort into this car and have not asked for a dime. And so if you figure you have a $20,000 car, with labor, it might be a $60,000 car, $70,000 car. There's no way I'm getting that out of this, even with the extra wheels and tires. And that block's destroyed, but I still have the good heads and another full suspension and a whole bunch of spare body panels, stuff like that. So even with all the spares, I'm not getting 60 grand out of this. I won't get 20 grand out of this. So my buddy in the Philippines is messaging me. I'm just letting him know that I'm live right now. So I'm trying to remember the other questions that I've got on the car. The tires that we run, now, according to Lemon's rules, you have to run stock tires or you get penalty bobs. So the original stock tires, and you can kind of see them back there in the corner. I'll go back here. The tri-spoke, and these are 185, 65, 14s. Those are the original tires. and tire size and wheel size. So if you upgrade wheels and tires, you get penalized. And you get penalty laps. You have to make up those penalty laps during the race. So in order to not get penalized, I looked at all the MR2 specs. And in the US, you got the 185s. But in Europe and Japan, where this car was also delivered, you could get a 205 50/15. So we have a Euro spec or JDM spec wheel and tire combination, still from the factory, still legal. So that's how we get away with a 205 on here. I would love to run a 215. I would love to run a 225, but the way our suspension's set up and with our brakes and everything, 215 is probably the max, and 205 works great because I can swap it with the Miata. So all of these wheels and tires can get swapped over with the Miata, and vice versa. Miata wheels and tires can come over to this car. So we take, we did take Miata wheels and tires as spares, but we won't be doing that at the next race because we'll just have a whole other spare set here. So that's how we get away with the wheels and tires. And I don't really like to think of it as cheating. It's just more like using the rules. You can do whatever you want. We're not winning Class A. And because we have this big engine in here, we're bumped up to Class A. We also got bumped up to Class A because we had Ralph Shields as one of our drivers. So that kind of bumped us up automatically. Yeah, that'll bump anybody up to Class A. I don't care what shitbox you're driving. You have Ralph Shields as one of your drivers. It's like when Randy Pope showed up at the Atlanta event, I thought for sure those guys were going to be Class A. I thought for sure. But they weren't. Because I think those guys knew that the Subaru that he was driving was going to blow up. But Randy actually beer canned it into another car. So it was pouring rain. It wasn't on purpose. It was an accident. So that's how we run the wheels and tires. Also, I noticed at the last couple of events, we were the only AW11 or any MR2 for that matter that was running stock springs and shocks and struts. So that's when I decided to run coilovers and get something more substantial for the suspension. Now the car ran fine. It ran pretty good. We had cut springs and we had a little, we changed the valving a little bit in the OEM shocks by adding a nut, a huge nut inside the canister for the strut. So we did stiffen up the suspension a little bit, gave it a little bit better handling. But with the coilovers that we have in here now from BC Racing, we have a much better setup. We can actually dial what we want. We have 15 plus, 15 minus on rebound, which is very nice. We also have Swift Springs on here, which is a Japanese spring manufacturer. They make these really high quality, really nice standard springs. You can't really tell. You can't really see them. But if you go to BC's site, you'll be able to see what those coilovers look like. And they, so far, this car has run really nice. When we get the alignment done, it'll really help. And the only reason we haven't had it done is because there's no windows in the car. So going out in the frozen cold makes it very difficult. And the places that are going to do the alignment are not nearby. So I have to, and this is car's rear wheel drive with, 200 treadwear summer tires on it. So I have to be kind of careful about when I take it out. I don't want to beer can the car before we even start racing this year. So I've been pretty careful about that. But yeah, the suspension upgrade is really going to help. And then for our last race, Brian DePaul came over and did a brake bias system. And it's mainly, he did brake bias for the rear because we have new pads up here from a company called G-Lock. And the pads were great. And we have the big brakes up front. So what we needed was a little better braking in the rear. We got the G-Lock pads for the rear. And the pads worked great, but we needed a little more juice. So we added a bias control that sends a little more pressure actually about 40% more pressure to the rears. What this does is when you're braking, instead of the car nosediving, it'll actually stay flat. And finding that middle ground, we had to dial a little bit in order to get it to not nosedive. So because we do have great braking up front, so getting it where the car stayed flat when you braked, that not only helps you going into turns, but also for trail braking and coming out of turns. When you're lifting your cars, instead of popping back up, your car doesn't pop back up as far. It barely lifts and you can make it through the turn versus having to pop up and come through. So that'll be also part of the suspension thing, finding out where that nice middle ground is. Right now, I can tell you this car handles great. Without any dial-in or testing or anything, just driving out to Honda Marysville and coming back, it felt great. And that was in almost snowing conditions. The car feels really, really, really good. The alignment is going to be the end of that, and then we'll be able to dial stuff to our liking. We'll also be able to dial per track, which would be very nice. If you have a really technical track like Mid-Ohio, you can dial it up. If you have a more open track and something a little more forgiving like Road Atlanta, you can dial it back a little bit, and it just helps with being quicker at the track. That's what we all want, right? And there's a famous quote, the better you are, the less time you spend on track. So, and that applies to any form of racing, whether it's road racing, drag racing, whatever. The better you are, the less time you spend on track. That's just how it is. That's how time works. What else? The car is street legal. Someone asked me if the car was still street legal. Yes-ish. That's where it gets kind of questionable. And it depends on the law enforcement officer or state trooper that you are speaking with. Now, for pre-96 cars, you don't need ABS and you don't need an airbag. So we obviously don't have an airbag, but we do need are what are called self-adjusting seatbelts. And this car does not have with full 6-point harness in the driver's seat. We also, I thought we had a harness. No, we were using a different harness for the passenger. If a passenger sits in there, we don't have a belt for the passenger because where the roll bar, the main hoop for the roll bar, the roll cage, blocks that indentation where the seatbelt would normally go. Like behind this panel is where the inertia reel seatbelt would go, and this roll bar blocks that, so we can't get it back in. So the passenger seat, if there's a passenger seat in there, you're probably going to get in trouble unless you have a harness. Now, the harness thing is kind of weird because they say they want self-adjusting seatbelts, and you can call it a joke or whatever you want, self-adjusting, right? And the other good part about a harness is it's not coming loose because you've already adjusted it to full tightness. So it's already there. If you're ever in any kind of accident or anything, it's already on. It doesn't have to engage. So there's kind of a fine line there. And like I said, it depends on, how decent the officer is talking, being to you. The turn signals work, the headlights work, high beams, reverse lights, brake lights, the power mirrors work, the clock works on the dash, the heater works, the AC is obviously gone. We don't have air conditioning in this car. And we do have a full glass windshield. So that kind of helps as well, which reminds me, I'm going to get rid of this. See if I can get rid of this overspray. I'm going to try alcohol first. There's a little film here from last night. I want to see if I can get it off the windshield before I go driving tomorrow. So the car is street legal. It has insurance on it. It has license plates. It is legal-ish. And lot of the time we do not, drive it on the street sort of thing. We're pretty careful about that. Yeah, the alcohol's taking this off. Nice. It's going to take a couple sprays, but it's not going to hurt the glass at all. It's a good thing. Because I have to drive this in the morning, I like to have all this crap off the car. Plus, you want it to look nice, right? Just because it's a race car doesn't mean it has to look like hell. They usually look like hell after the race. I don't know if anyone watched Daytona this weekend, but those cars get jacked up, man. No problem. What were some of the other questions? Or do you guys have any questions about the race car? Do you have anything that you want to ask, whether it's about building it or racing it? I'm trying to remember what other folks have asked me. Someone asked me, is it really loud? And I said, it's not obnoxiously loud. It's not like a top fuel car where you have to have hearing protection or anything like that. But it is basically straight piped. So we have, I bought a muffler for it, and it's kind of a little, like a cherry bomb type muffler. And that blew out probably 3 miles in. It did not take long for that to empty itself. And I mean, that's okay, So what we have on here is basically a spark arrestor. And those are legal. The car does shoot flames. Shoots a little, like, 1 foot flame, which is kind of amusing when you're behind the car and someone downshifts and it shoots out this little flame in the back. I find it amusing. I don't know if anyone else does. There we go. Got most of those specs off of there. We can keep cleaning this, and the more we clean it, the more specs and stuff will get off. Is there still stuff over there? Looks like it. It looks like it. Yep. The other nice part about JDM cars is you can reach from one side to the other. Well, I can. I'm 6'1", so I can basically reach from one side all the way over. I can definitely do it on the Miata. Pretty much do it on this car too. Yeah, we'll keep running glass cleaner on here, and should get the rest of those specs off of there. The white specs are hard to see. Yeah. Squeaky clean glass. That's what we like. Yeah, that's a lot better. A lot better. Oh, the wipers work on this too? That was very handy in Atlanta. By the way, pro tip, if you get the bottle alcohol from your local pharmacy, you can just use a regular spray bottle on top. In the shop, that really, really, really helps. So we can get some of this crap off the back window. This might take more than one pass. There's a lot of crap on the back window. Hey, that's working. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'll have to do a few passes. Please come on. Trying to think of the other questions people have asked me about the car. Is it fun to drive? Yes, it is. It's very fun to drive. It's interesting to drive because you have mid-engine and it wants to snap around and whip the back end out, but at the same time, it has no problem straightening up and putting that power down. And I expect more of that happy power down with the new coilovers in there. BC makes a quality product, and I'm pretty stoked to fully try it out. Oh yeah, that was the other question. And if you guys are on here, you probably already know this. But yes, we live stream from inside the car. We have 3 cameras. So we have a camera back here. We have one up at the nose of the car. Now we have a new one that doesn't have a cracked lens. And then we have a camera inside the cabin here. And you can watch the driver. You can watch him steer, shift. You can almost see the pedals. Not quite. But there's full audio and video inside the car, which is pretty cool. And we live stream here to YouTube. Each driver gets his own live stream. And they're still up here on the channel if you want to go watch them. You can see the stuff from North Atlanta. And you can watch Brian and Dakota and myself and the other Brian. And I think we got most of the there's a bunch of stuff in here. I don't know how I'm sure you have it here, but it did. This stuff I can't get very good pressure on. So I don't want to push the back to the side. But it cleans up. And again, this is temporary Lexan. So I'm not too concerned about it. I just like it a little bit cleaner. It's not much cleaner. But again, the more you clean it, the more you get all the stuff you missed. And then when you clean one side, you can tell that the other side is still dirty. And the nice part about overspray is you can feel it. So let's pop over and do that side. No other questions from anyone. Okay. I take that as a good sign. You guys are understanding the basics on the car, kind of the basic rules too. Which is cool. Someone asked where our next race was, and as of right now, pit race in April is our next race. And we fully expect to have this car dialed in and ready to go by then. The only thing we're still working on is a theme. And if you guys want to help with the theme, you're welcome to. We always love input. There's always some interesting ideas that pop up when you ask the internet. So always some interesting ideas. I didn't know I said they were good, but they are interesting. This glass is a little bit cleaner. It's a very gratifying feeling smooth glass under your fingertips. Or I guess under your skin, however you want to do that. It's a very nice feeling. I like the look. I like it. Outside, except this over here. It's quite clean. So now we can go back to do the inside. And that's the nice part, is you can feel it. This is very much a feel thing. The other nice part about using alcohol, just isopropyl alcohol, is that it evaporates very quickly. Although it is a solvent, it evaporates quite quickly. So you don't have to worry about it melting plastic or anything like that. Yeah, that's much, much cleaner. Much, much cleaner, right? Okay. Oh yeah. That only looks a million times better. Again, that glass is getting replaced, so I am going to do one thing that's driving me bonkers. I'm going to use this tape and then a pair of scissors. We had to redo this camera mount when we were at Atlanta, and we had kind of limited resources, so we got it together as best we could with our white duct tape, etc. So see if I can't get us slightly nicer looking mount that's slightly more hidden. Maybe. Oh. Get off my finger. All right. There we go. That looks a lot better. Now it's a little more difficult to see the camera. Blends in a little better. With this vertical snip here, and blend him in slightly better. There we go. Looks pretty good, right? I'll pour tape up here. It's having a tough time. In the wind, in the rain. That looks a little bit better. It hides it slightly. Hopefully when that gets a little dirtier, it'll be completely gone. Hopefully. Again, it's a Lemons car. This is not $2 million F1 car. So get it as close as we can. Oh yeah, that looks a lot better, even from 5 feet. Another thing that we'll do prior to Pittsburgh is we'll finish painting the roll cage. We'll take the seat out. Seat's already out on the other side. This was just primer after we put the cage in, just to protect it. So we'll finish all the painting. We'll do a bunch of touch up inside. We need new TBL on the floor on both sides. Probably do a coat of that every year. Let's check on our battery from last night. And it is happy green. So heat is not warm. Our battery is not warm. That is a good thing. Getting tons of messages here. Oh. Okay. A friend of mine in Colorado just sent me a message. Just letting people know that I'm live on YouTube and hey. Which one? What other questions? I think that's kind of it. There's a million different parts to this car that people have asked me questions about. So I'll bring you guys over if you want to. I'll show you the engine. See if we can't do some close-up stuff. Closer up. Wheel you guys over. Ooh, trick dolly move. So I'll go over to the far side of the car. Hopefully you guys can see some of that. Let me grab a light. Light on the situation. Charge. This one should work. So there's our engine. And the main engine is a Toyota 1MZ, which is a 3-liter V6. And you see 3 cylinders here. And then it's turned about 15 degrees, and there's 3 cylinders underneath the plenum here. We run the stock intake. Now, this is going to sound really, really funny, but this is how the intake works on an 87 MR2. So we'll start where the air comes in. The air comes in all the way over on this side of the car through the side vent. It goes through one of the body panels here. It goes into the trunk. Sorry, it comes all over the back. It goes into the trunk, all the way around the back of the trunk, comes over here where there's an air filter. Then it comes back through the firewall here and enters right here. Then comes up and into our intake to our throttle body. So it literally travels all the way around the car to come back up to the intake. It's not forced induction at all by any stretch. It is very simple, but it works. We get good horsepower. We could add, we have tons of room here to add a cold air intake and run it down there, suck in some really nice cold air, but we're good for now. We have plenty of power, and it's an OEM system, so if it's not broken, don't fix it. We have a 5-speed down there, the E51 5-speed. And again, everything on this engine is completely stock. Now, we have 2 blocks. Well, we did have 2 blocks. One of them's dead. We have 2 blocks, the red block and the yellow block. And this is the yellow block with the yellow heads. Yes. So this is yellow block with yellow heads, and then the other one is red block with red heads. And these are stock, bone stock. They are not bored out. There's no special pistons, no special crank, nothing like that. These are bone stock 3-liter. It's a Camry engine. If you're looking for the modern equivalent, it is what is in the Lotus Exige and the Lotus Evora. It's basically the same engine. Theirs is the modern version, of course. Now, this engine obviously did not come in here. This came with a 4A GE. It was a very simple, very, very simple engine. This took us, I think it took us about 4 days to get this engine put in here without cutting any firewalls or drilling any holes or doing any major modifications except to the engine mounts. The engine mounts are highly modified. Chris did those, and he did a great job with them. But we actually had lasers in here, making sure we had the right height, that we were correct this way, that we were correct this way, that we had as limited axle angle as possible. We have about 10 degrees on both sides. I think you guys have seen that in the axle videos that I did. We wanted to make sure that we had, we could do this without modifying. I've seen lots of guys cut firewalls, and I've seen transverse mounted, or actually, technically this is transverse. I've seen longitudinally mounted versions of this that are bonkers. Guys cut a huge hole here, and half the engine's sitting in the driver's cabin. So this is as basic as you can get. There's nothing aftermarket, or I'm trying to think what is aftermarket on here. The fuel line with the AN fittings is aftermarket. Some dust on here, and some dust. The vent, PCV vent, is, I don't know if you want to call it aftermarket, but we just have a bare filter on there instead of running it back to this. The stuff is painted, and so the block and heads are painted with high temp paint, and then the valve covers are Cerakoted, both valve covers. The throttle body, the plenum, the intake, and the fuel rails are all Cerakoted. So they're covered for high temp stuff, which is very nice. Also the water neck, and I guess the intake manifold. Oh, I said the intake manifold. All that stuff is Cerakoted, and that's to protect it and to keep heat low. This car actually runs very nicely with low heat. We stay about 180, between 180 and 195. And the fans kick on at like 190. So this thing runs really, really well with, we just run water in it. Obviously, we don't run regular coolant. If you spill coolant on the track, it's a mess to clean up. It's very slippery. So when we race, we run water, straight distilled water. Nothing fancy. This thing warms up great. Oil temps are awesome. Have no complaints on oil temps. I should check water level here. Let me borrow this light for a second. Yep. That's what happens when you have water. It evaporates. So we're going to add some distilled water. I thought we had an open container still. Oops, we do. But it's the big guy. That's okay. me grab a funnel and we'll add some water to that. Probably not going to need it tomorrow because I don't think the car is going to be running very hot. I don't have very far to go. Believe it or not, this is the original overflow tank. So, can't believe he's held together this long. Getting there. I can kind of see him from the edge here. Oh, there he goes. And that's our overflow hose. And we had to be very careful with the overflow hose to make sure it didn't go on the headers or on any of the other stuff, because you see that steam coming out and you get very bad vibes when in actuality it's just overflow. It's not anything bad. You haven't blown a cool. So this hose, this little hose right here is very specific in where he goes. Very specific. And cap goes back on. Yeah, these things break all the time. They're very, very old ABS plastic. So I'm going to shake and get the little excess out of there. And we'll grab our mop and clean that up. Not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. Oops, come back around the tire. There you go, buddy. Okay. Oh, he still has some cleaning stuff in him. The mop pad does. There we go. Only takes a minute, right? All right. Let's see. What are the questions? We've got an hour in the car. Here you can see the coilovers from BC Racing. They bolted right up. There's only one weird thing, and that's they have another tab on there, and I believe it's for the ABS line on their major mount, on their strut mount. So we just don't use that. You can cut it off if you really want to, but I don't have any need to cut that off. It can stay put. I'm going to leave this up because I'm going to blow it out, get all the garbage out of there. I'll bring you guys over to the interior of the car. Hopefully you can kind of see inside there. Maybe. Sort of. Oh, there you go. I'll grab the light again and take a look inside here. So, okay, hop in with you guys. Now on that side, we have the NASCAR door bar. On this side, we just have a standard X-Brace. You'll see this in a lot of NASA spec cars and like Porsche Cup cars and a lot of cars that don't run a passenger seat. Just believe it or not, this is really difficult to get in and out of. It looks like you have a lot of room here, but it's very difficult to get in and out of. Our steering wheel is right here, and our keyboard for the computer, which is right here. I guess you guys can't really see that. We have our wiring for our hotspot. We have our gauges, oil temp, oil pressure. We have our lights. Those things are so bright. And then we have our OBD2 port, which is our second OBD2. Our first one runs the digital dash. We have all exposed linkage. I got this really cool shift knob with 5 speeds, and it's all in kanji. OEM brake for parking brake. Our fire suppression system back here is from Lifeline. Just got it recertified last year, so it's ready to go again. Let's see, what else? Like I said, the floor panels are all TBL'd. It's all truck bed liner, and it's very protective. It works very, very well. And very easy to replace, too. We have the full standard dash in. And over here, I don't know, I guess you guys can't really see it. There's the camera over here. We have our countdown clock, and this is what we use in Lemons. So we can set it for whatever time we want, and when it goes black, that means the time's up. And I mean, if I start it right now. So there it goes. Now it's counting down. When it goes black, that means it's time to come in. That's not racist. That's just how the clock works. And reset it. No. Oh, that was clear. So set it back. Oh, we need batteries in this. We'll have to do that before the next race. So normally we have it set at 30 minutes, and he has a magnet on the back, and he hangs out here on the roll bar, and he hangs out in a great spot right by the clock. So you see the regular OEM clock, and then you see that. Our hotspot sits right here on top of the coin tray. I don't know what you want to call it. That's about it. We have a PowerTech Sport race seat, which is certified for another year, I believe. Our belts are certified for the rest of this year, so we'll have to get new belts then. Shifter cables are custom. They are 100% custom. Because of the transmission that we have, because of the engine that we have, we had to get special length shifter cables. And then I also had to do, in the back, I had to do special Heim joints, different with adapters for the mountings in the back. And then here in our cool little pocket, you guys are asking about street legal. There's our registration and our insurance. And actually, I have a new insurance card inside I have to put in this car. So that all stays in here. We don't have it in here during the race. During the race, we really don't. The keyboard comes out of here, and the steering wheel stays. That's about it. And this is just a cover. It's just a cheap Amazon cover for the steering wheel while we're in the shop. This is a really, really nice Momo steering wheel. And so we have this cheapo cover to protect it from greasy hands and stuff. And then we use this nice 330 millimeter Momo steering wheel. And we have an NRG quick release version 2.0. This works awesome for the quick release on the car. Some guys can get in and out without moving the steering wheel. I cannot. I'm too big for that. We also have an adjustable seat. The seat is on the original OEM sliders, so we can have shorter people or taller people in here. And the way we designed, well, you can't really see it, but the way we designed the roll cage, we put the intersecting cross member over on the driver's side, the front intersecting cross member on the driver's side, and then the rear intersecting cross member on the passenger side, so that we had a bigger space for taller people, so helmets would clear. If your helmet's going to touch a roll bar, you're not cleared to race. So these are our belts. These are NRGs, and they are the 2-inch with the 2-inch tops with the 3-inch straps. These are great belts, very comfortable, very quick on and off. All of us are very proficient at it. And also on these seats, you have these adjustable cushions. So these guys come out and you can clean them and do whatever you want. And yeah, this is our main buckle. You can tell it's been used. There's some paint missing off of it. So yeah, these guys just unvelcro and you can clean stuff up. This pops out. You can do a stiffer version, or you can put foam underneath, which is really handy. You can do that on the backs here too. So if you want some more back support, you can do that. And if guys want to do their own custom seat, they can. They just rip out the foam and put in their own foam seat. Great. So I'll bring you guys back over here. We went through a bunch of the stuff on the car. Last night, we're going to hop over this extension cord. Went over a whole bunch of stuff in the front of the car. So, come here, buddy. All right. We'll just pop the frunk. We call it a frunk because it's the front trunk. And we'll come down and I'll show you guys this stuff. So obviously over there we have our battery. And if you look kind of right there, you can see our NOCO is green. Yay! And spare tire has been removed. Normally this is our battery cover and he goes right there. And the strap is down there. And the strap obviously holds the cover on. We have an aluminum radiator here. This is an OEM replacement radiator. It is a dual core versus the original single core, but he's also all aluminum. He doesn't have that plastic cap on him. Still have the washer fluid tank in here. No, we're not using any washer fluid. It works, but we just don't have any fluid in it. This is our brake bias control, and we have braided lines for that. You can see them back here. We run Motul 600. I run Motul 600 in all of the race cars, in the Viper, ACR, in this car. I run it in the Jeep. We run it in the limo. What else do I have it in? Had it in my old truck. I'm a fan of Motul 600. It's never let me down. So that's what we use in this. We do have, this is all the coolant for the heater core, all the coolant lines. Now the coolant is very funny. It runs from the engine all the way up to the front of the car, goes through the heater core, and then runs all the way back to the, actually all the way up to here and to the heater core, then goes all the way back to the engine. So there's aluminum piping that runs all through the middle of the car. And the gas tank is in the center as well. And we have a spare gas tank if we have some kind of weird puncture or whatever. The gas tanks are fully lined and they are TBL'd on the outside. This car has a brand new fuel pump in it too, which is nice. Very happy to have a new fuel pump in it. And simple wiring, the wiring over there, part of that, I'll hop on this side. Part of this is for the Camry V6. This we had to modify and tucked it in the corner for the Camry V6. This stuff can probably get taped back up again. We had to open it up to hot wire some of this stuff. The rest of this wiring, a lot of it is the battery maintainer. We have two wires here for the front fog lights, the clears and the yellows. We have our wiper motor, and then here and over that box over on the other side are the big relays for the pop-up headlights. You can see our BC coilovers here. Our camber is set to 0 right now on both sides. So if we need extra camber that we can't get out of the front, we'll dial it in up here, and we just loosen these 4, push it that way for negative camber and this way for positive camber. Yeah, that's right. And these BCs, they bolted right up. Like I said, you got 15 directions soft, 15 directions hard. And you can also, these guys, I thought these guys popped out. I know in the back they pop out so you can put the OEM covers back on. I thought they popped out here too. Oh, no, they do. They unscrew. Yeah, okay. So you can take the little adjuster guys out. They just unscrew, and then you can put the OEM covers on here, and it looks totally OEM, which is pretty cool. I knew these guys popped off. I just didn't know how. There we go. This is the OEM strut bar. And this came, I still have the original spare tire. I have the original cover and carpet and everything that goes in here. Normally there's a cover that goes across all of this. This hole here is for the AC lines, and there was a secondary AC line that went back here.
There's another AC line that went here. Those are the main AC lines. Those guys got pulled out. I still have the complete AC system. Just we're not doing anything with it because we don't run AC in this car. It's one of those. It's kind of one more thing to break, so we don't really want to run it. It'd be nice on certain occasions. It'd be nice to have AC, but if you're racing, you kind of expect that. You're going to get hot in the car. That's just how it is. That is simply how it is. So I'm going to drop these. Drop this rear deck. We don't have a hood prop for it, so we use a bungee cord. And I'm going to actually, I'm going to blow that out. So I'll blow it out now. No, I'll do that in a little bit. Let's see what else. Oh, a couple other things not car related that I thought were really, really cool. I found out today that you can put your driver's license. Well, I guess this is car related. You can put your driver's license in your iPhone. Did you guys know this? So you can put it in your wallet. Let me find it here. Where did it go? In the wallet. Now, if you go to the plus, there's an option for driver's license state ID. So I'm going to put my driver's license in, and I know people are very pensive about putting private information and personal information and all your information on your phone, but I think it's a good thing to have. I think that's me. That's me being kind of prepared for stuff with the amount of traveling I'm doing. Sometimes you leave the house without a wallet, and sometimes someone is like, "Oh yeah, that's a nice car, Amex card. Do you have ID to go with that? Oh crap, I don't have the ID. Oh yes, I do. It's on my phone." So I was going to check with some Leo friends, some law enforcement friends, and find out if that is legit enough for a traffic stop. If it is, I mean, that makes it really nice because you're usually carrying your phone around with you. So if you can use that for a traffic stop, that would be really nice. And I'm going to guess that it's all kind of county dependent or state dependent or whatever. But something to check out, and I'll keep you guys updated. And then yesterday, like I told you guys, my friend Willow, she's a friend that I grew up with in Colorado, and we went to high school together. She was a couple classes behind me, and we've remained, friends for a long time, just kind of distant friends and catching up on life whenever we can. And she travels all around the world. She spent Mexico, the U.S., Philippines, Cambodia, Africa, Australia, Rotterdam. I mean, she's been everywhere. She's an awesome traveler, and she's experienced a pretty serious life. And she is a life coach, and she's been working on this book for like 6 or 7 years. just released her book yesterday, and she's so jazzed, and I'm so happy for her. I think it's going to be a really great book, and I think folks will like it. If you need that sort of thing, if you're kind of looking for that, definitely something to check out. So it's on Amazon. Just go to Willow Loves You, WILLO, only one W. Loves You, and that's on Amazon. And the book is called Double Down on Your Genius, and it covers a lot of aspects of life coaching that I haven't read it yet, so I got to read it before I give a full review. But from what she's told me, it covers a lot of stuff. It's a nice book, so I'm really excited for her. She's been working on that a long time, and that's very cool. It's nice to see your friends succeed, especially ones that you've known for more than 2 decades. Jesus, 3 decades, long time. So that's nice. I really like that. And I don't know. I think that's about it. Like I said, when this car comes out and we get the alignment done, it'll go back in the other garage. The limo will come in here, and we'll get that grill cut. And once we get the grill cut and placed and mounted, then it can come off and it can get painted. And then put back on the car. I'll put that new hood ornament on tomorrow. And there's also that airbag leak that I still want to check out. I don't know where that's coming from or why that's happening, but front left corner now. It was the front right corner and everything's fine now. So now it's the front left corner. Got to find out where that leak's coming from. And I'm thinking about bypassing the gauges because I think for some reason it's coming from one of the gauges. I think that's about it. Cars are getting very close to everything being ready for this upcoming summer, and we're going to be doing a ton of races. Like I said, our next race with this car will be a pit race. We'll probably, depending on weather, we'll probably do some autocrosses with it and do some shakedown stuff, especially with the new tires, new wheels. We'll do some shakedown stuff and make sure it's 100% before the race. Then I've got a ton of stuff in Florida that I'll be doing with the Viper and with the Neon. We also have Tail of the Dragon coming up with the Viper guys. So we'll probably do multiple trips to Tail of the Dragon because of the repaving. I don't know how we're going to kind of try and get around that. And we're also going to try and hit up NCM this year for the Lemons race. And they're also doing one at Road America. And that's in July. That would be a really great, Wisconsin in July would be really great, depending on weather. Hopefully it doesn't snow. I'd love to do Road America in this car. I think it would be a lot of fun. We will definitely max it out on that back straight. We'll be fifth gear, 6,600 RPMs, 135 miles an hour, and 140 maybe, and that'll be kind of max for this car. But it's a really, really great track. It's nice and technical, but it's very open. It's a big track. And then back to Gingerman again for that race, which is a fun little small track. Hopefully we have special guests joining us for these races. I love it when we have, some of the regular folks, and then we have someone else join us who's new to the team, and that's a lot of fun. I like doing that. So I'll keep you guys updated on who messages me back and who doesn't. And what else we've got? We've got a lot of stuff going to Florida. So the limo trip to Florida will probably not, depending on when paint is done, I would say it's probably going to be a summertime trip, closer to June or July. And but not too hot, not too August or September. So it'll probably be May or June that we do. It might be after, probably just before Tail of the Dragon with the Viper guys. I might do it before that, because then I come back here, grab the Viper, and go down and do Tail of the Dragon. So that's where we're at right now. We've got just a ton of stuff coming up, and I said we've got our theme ideas up on the board here. and we'll figure out a theme for this car. Like I said, if you guys want to input anything, we're welcome. I'd love to hear any kind of input from you guys. Also, input regarding my hair. Do I keep it long? Do I cut it short? I think in the summer it's nicer to have it a little shorter, and then in the winter here, it's definitely nicer to have it longer. It was trying to snow earlier, so it's definitely nicer to have it longer here. What else we got? Doing a ton of shop cleanup. I got a whole bunch of stuff for sale up on Marketplace and stuff going up for sale on eBay. Not a fire sale, but definitely clearing stuff out. And stuff that I don't need, stuff that I haven't used in years. And yeah, a lot of clear out stuff, modernizing and spring cleaning in the winter, winter cleaning, if you want to call it that. So we'll keep going on that. We'll try to have a little more streamlined. Plus, it's a lot less stuff for me to move to Florida. Stuff I haven't touched in 10 years, can pitch it, right? So that's where we're at. We're doing well, and I think we are. You guys will have to let me know if you want to see something different. If you want to see a different car in here, if you want to see a different aspect of working on the cars, racing the cars, protecting the cars, bulletproofing them, you got to let me know. Send a comment down below. Send me a message here on YouTube. Send me a text. You can hit me up on Facebook too. I don't hide anything. I don't lie. So you guys send me whatever you want, and I'll do my best to get it here and try to make it understandable and explain everything as best as I can. There's no magic in any of this. There's no summoning of demons or anything like that. It is a very simple, this is mechanical and electrical. That's really all there is. So I'll do my best to explain it. If there's aspects of driving you want to know about, certain tracks, what to do with certain cars, how to do a burnout, how to recover from, oversteer, how to recover from dumping a trailer into a ditch, how to drift a 26-passenger van with people inside. If you guys want to know how to do all that stuff, let me know. I'll do my best to detail it. All right, you guys want that story? All right. All right, let me go to the bathroom quick, and then I'll tell you the story about drifting the passenger bus. Let me hit the bathroom quick, and then I'll go into as much detail as possible. Okay? All right, stay right there. I will be right back. That's a fun story, I think. All right. Oh, it's so cool. Okay. I'm just gonna let you guys in on a little tip. It is unpleasant outside. It is not pleasant outside. All right. So I promised you the story about the 26 passenger van drifting the 26 passenger van. So I was living in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, and this is before Tanner Faust lived there. And where was Tanner at this time? I want to say Tanner was in the UK, but that's all right. So I am working for a hotel, and I did the typical ski bum thing. I skied all day, and then I would work in the evenings. And I worked for this hotel there, and I was a van driver, and I would take guests to the hotel, and I would do this route, and there were 2 or 3 stops on the route, between the mountain and downtown, and I would just do the route and pick people up and drop them off, and I would do that from, I don't know, I guess from like 4 till probably midnight. That sounds about right. I'm trying to remember the schedule. And there were 2 drivers. It was me and another guy, and we had, so the routes would kind of circle back around. And so like every 20 minutes we would be at, every half hour, whatever, would be at one of the stops. So it was a Ford E350 chassis, and it was a 26 passenger van. So it had the big, fiberglass canopy on the back. And I'll do this story also. This is a good practice for me, because I'll do this story on my other YouTube channel too. I think you guys will like it. I might do it tomorrow. So it had been snowing a lot. We had probably 8 or 10 inches of snow, and that's why it was a great ski day. And in the evening, a lot of the roads had been plowed, but the road going up to this hotel, it was called the Overlook Hotel, was not plowed. And it was, you enter off of US 40 and you go up, and there's a big carving right turn. You go straight a little bit, and there's a big carving left turn, and then it straightens out and goes to the hotel, and then you go under the awning and you drop the passengers off. And it wasn't a big deal. I mean, driving the bus wasn't a big thing. I didn't have a CDL or anything like that. For some reason, they didn't ask me for one. This is way back in the day, so I guess they didn't really care. But it had the regular swing doors, and I had the little thing, and come on, get in, and close the door, and then just drive away. And my watch is telling me to take a moment. So I go to the one spot where we pick people up. Was this place called Gopher Foods, and believe it or not, it's still there. It's when I was there last year, it was there's like a taco stand and something else. But Space Station Gas, which was the gas station part of Gopher Foods, it was like we didn't have a 7-Eleven in there until 1995. So that was kind of our 7-Eleven. Like high school lunch, we would go down there, and after school, and it was kind of our meetup place, this place called Gopher Foods. And ironically, the guy who owned Gopher was not very nice, and he lived in the same neighborhood that I lived in Treehouse. We never talked to him. I think I've said maybe 3 words in my entire life. So anyway, I go to Gopher Foods, and I pick up this group, and there's probably 15, 18 people, and half of them are absolutely inebriated. They're not quite falling down drunk, but they're pretty close. And the other half they definitely ordered from the wine menu more than once. So they're not belligerent drunks or nasty or anything. They're very happy, and they're very happy in their current state. And they get in, and they're trying to stay vertical. A few of them are falling over, and their friends are holding them up and propping them up against the the sidewall and the window. And coming back US 40, and I got to make that left. And I make the left onto the road, and then I have to make another left. And I felt the van, because it had been snowing, the road had been plowed, but it wasn't perfect by any stretch. So I made that left, and then I made the next left, but the back end of the van kicked out a little bit. And the people were surprised at first. I look at the big mirror, and they were like, whoa. And then they were like, yeah, that was awesome. Do it again. And I'm like, well, I can't really go backwards. And I come up to the hill and to that big right. And I thought, all right, well, they kind of liked it. So let's see what we can do on this right. And I got on the gas a little. You can't really clutch kick an automatic. So I did it's like a downshift. It's kind of a double downshift. I downshifted. I pressed the gas, so it downshifted. I let up, so I changed gear again. And then to make sure the tires were slick, I downshifted again. And the back end of this van popped out, and the whole thing went perpendicular to the road, almost perpendicular to the road. I would say 75 degrees. And we're doing about 30 miles an hour up this snowy road in a huge, people mover van, like Airport Express van. And these people they were kind of, I don't think they were afraid at first, but they were surprised. And then when they understood that I had complete control of the vehicle, they loved it. And they were cheering me on, and they were like, hell yeah, do it, keep going. They just wanted me to hold it and hold it and hold it. And I finished off the right turn, and this thing, it's not like, see, back then we didn't call it drifting. We didn't really have a name for it. So the van didn't come back to center very smoothly. It actually whipped to the right a little bit and then came back to center. And so some of the drunk people got like flung around, but their friends grabbed them, and no one ended up on the floor or anything. And they were absolutely howling with laughter, and they were loving it. And they're like, do it again. And as I'm working for tips here, I have a crappy $8 an hour job, and, I'm kind of relying on tips for, Christmas and New Year's and all that stuff. So I'm like, well, I got, 15, 18 people here telling me to do it again. I probably shouldn't be whipping the van around like this, but they're asking me to do it. So I come up onto the left, and just from practice and living there, I can hang the left a lot longer than I can hang the right. And I know this just from driving my car there. So let's try it out in the van. And I've never done this in the van. So I did the same kind of double tap to get the tires to break free. And they come out, and the whole van, again, comes out 65, 70 degrees. And I'm just riding it all the way up that little straight section of the road. And the people on the right side of the van are looking out the window as we're going down the road. So everyone is laughing, and they're having an absolute blast, and they're hollering, and they're like, this is so awesome. And so we come back around, and then I have that slight right to go back into the parking lot. And the slight right, I didn't double tap the throttle. I just kind of had the van come back. They call it a transition. The van came back to center, and then it kicked out a little bit, and then I just brought it smoothly to straight and go back in. And we get up to the little pavilion thing under the hotel, and they're like, you got to go back and do it again. You got to go back and do it again. I'm like, you guys, it's really bad weather. It's kind of dangerous. I got you back to the hotel safe, and, we have a schedule to keep, and all. I had, 50 excuses not to get in trouble. And they're like, we will pay you $100 to go back to the bottom of the hill and do that again. And I put it in drive, and off we go. And I went down the hill. Now, going down the hill with something this big, with that big center of gravity, I didn't kick it out as far, but we did the same thing going down the hill. And then I got to the bottom of the hill, did a U-turn. And since I didn't have as much momentum on that first left, I really had to punch it. And we did the same thing. So we did it twice with that same group of people, and the same reaction. I really hung out the right turn this time, and I hung on to it for as long as I could. My tracks previously had melted some of the snow, so some of the pavement was coming getting shown. And I knew that the cinder trucks in Colorado, they do cinders, they don't do salt. They lay down this really fine lava rock like pumice. So I knew those guys were coming. So I knew I had to get this done. And I'll fully admit, I was trying to show off. I want that tip. And so we come back around it, and then there's the left. And this one was a much smoother transition. I didn't have as much straight. So the back end was out from the right, and it came back around, and I had maybe 50 feet of straight before I double tapped the throttle again and brought the other side around for the left. And I took this one way to the inside because I knew the van, with all of its weight, plus the weight of the people, was going to want to slide to the outside of the road. So I tried to hook that front tire. Sorry, that's a bad term. I tried to keep that front tire as close to the inside of the curb as possible because I knew coming through that turn, I was just going to slide towards. Now it's a wall, and it's a drop off on this side as you go up. I knew we were going to head towards the wall. There's a little ditch there, would have saved me. But as I predicted, we started to slide towards the road, and I had to lift a little bit and bring it back. But these people, they were absolutely awesome. The next day, only a couple of them remembered it and were like, "Thanks so much for last night, man. That was awesome. It was the best part of our trip. Da 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 da. That was awesome." They did pay me the $100, which was pretty cool. And I think those folks had a good time. Hopefully, they remember it, decades later. But that was. I don't know if that's the biggest vehicle I've ever drifted, but it's definitely the most people I've ever drifted at once. And I wish I knew the count. I want to say it was at least 15 people because the van was at least half full, and it held 26 people. So it was at least half full. I want to say it was 15 or 18 people, but it was two different groups too. I remember one was extremely inebriated, and then the other group was just kind of a little bit drunk. So that was pretty cool. So that's the 26 passenger van drifting story. I hope you guys like that one. If I remember any other details, I'll let you know. But that one was pretty cool. That one was actually that was really cool. I'm trying to think if I've drifted anything bigger. I think that's probably the biggest thing I've drifted. I did drift my motorhome, which is a 27-foot motorhome, but that was just in the wet and didn't have anybody inside of it. And I think it was about the same size as. Well, no, the motorhome would have definitely been bigger because it was on an international chassis. It was not on a van chassis, on an E350. So the motorhome probably was the biggest thing that I've drifted, but the most people was definitely in the Overlook Overlook Hotel guest van. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that story. I'll put it up on my other channel on Kevin's Place, and you guys can comment and critique on it, and hopefully you enjoy it. So it's good to remember that stuff and to bring it back. I'll try to talk, get some more of the escapades about all the really dumb stuff we did when we were in high school and in college with vehicles and with my brother and his Renault car and 4x4 and all the off-road, all the really dumb stuff we did off-road. God, we did dumb stuff. I watch King of the Hammers now, and I'm like, that was us. we did all that dumb stuff. Hey, you can't make it up that. Oh, yeah? Watch me. Watch me. Yeah. That was fun. So, yeah, thanks, everyone, for hanging out tonight. Hopefully you got some more insight into the MR6. Like I said, if you guys have more questions, I'm happy to talk to you about it. It's going for alignment tomorrow, so we'll be fully race ready after. I'm guessing probably tomorrow after lunch. I got to get down there early, and whenever Chuck can get to me. Chuck does great alignments. Great alignments, highly recommended. Not cheap, highly recommended. And So this car will be all ready to go. We'll keep it on our battery maintainer and get it ready for the race in, what do we got? 8, 10 weeks? 10 weeks, 11 weeks, something like that. So yeah, thanks for hanging out tonight. I really appreciate it. Let me know if you have any questions. And like I said, if there's something you want to see me do here in the shop, please feel free to ask. I'm happy to show you guys. I got a ton of experience with all sorts of weird stuff and all sorts of normal stuff. So feel free to ask away. And I'll get the limo back in here and we'll do some fun limo stuff tomorrow night. Put that hood ornament on, or I don't know. We'll do fun stuff. We'll figure out the airbag. Figure out the airbag situation on the driver's side. I don't know what the hell's going on with that. Everything was working great. So yeah, thanks for hanging out. And don't forget to show someone that you love them. Don't tell them, show them. Give them a kiss on the cheek. Give them a kiss on the tip of their nose. Hold their hand. Give it a squeeze. It's really, really important. Not only for you, but also, or not only for them, but also for you. Okay? Get into a habit of doing that. It's really, really important. Okay? Show someone that you love them. It's important. All right. Thanks, everyone. And I will catch you on the next YouTube Live. All right. Don't forget to subscribe. See you guys.